Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Jones. I use she, her pronouns, and really excited for those of you joining us to get to talk about sustainability and ways you can make it a part of your sort of unique U of M experience when you're here as a student. I'm joined by Anna. Anna, do you want to briefly introduce yourself?
Hello, good morning or afternoon. I'm Anna Bayless, and I also use she, her pronouns. I'm a programs coordinator for sustainability here at Michigan, and we're excited to have you join us on campus very soon.
Awesome. Well, if you have any questions throughout the presentation today, you can feel free to put them in the Q&A feature, and Anna will make sure to let me know if I'm missing any of those to answer them. And we'll share the links to the slides. So hopefully this will just be really informative for you all today and help you just sort of be ahead of the game when it comes to starting our fall semester. So I like to start most of my presentations and many of our events with the land acknowledgement. I'm not going to read everything on the slide, but the University of Michigan sits on the lands that were for years and years lovingly cared for by the three Fires people, the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi. And this land acknowledgement is something that administrators and those Indigenous folks are talking about to have an official land acknowledgement for campus. And I'm sure a lot of you are joining us from outside of Michigan. Encourage you all to check out this website, native-land.ca, to find out who the Indigenous folks are and where that originated on the land that you're on today. The land acknowledgement is not going to change anything in particular or right any sort of past wrongs, but it's a good reminder when we're thinking about sustainability and environmental stewardship going forward, and just our collective responsibility to right injustices as we pursue sustainability for everyone. So some things we're going to talk about today. We'll go over how U of M defines sustainability, although spoiler alert, there's probably no one great definition. Then we'll talk about some of our carbon neutrality commitments and sort of sustainability goals to get you just informed about some of that. And then we'll focus primarily on a lot of tips that you all can use as incoming students for just leading a sustainable life here at Michigan when you're on campus. We'll also provide some ways to engage further if you're like, yep, I'm totally into doing all of those sort of individual actions. What else can I do? So we'll give you some ways to engage further. And then we'll make sure to answer any questions that arise. All right. So the term sustainability is kind of a funny one. I'll read off our definition here that we have at U of M. Sustainability is a mindset and framework for ensuring that current and future generations have equitable access to resources for a full and vibrant life without the exploitation of people, society, or the environment. Like I said before, there's probably no one perfect definition, but we like that this one gets at this balance of preserving people and planet, this thought of resources for future generations. I'll just sort of having a great life and a vibrant life. I love that part of this definition, while also not sort of taxing our planet in an unnecessary way. So that's kind of one definition. There's many others out there, but hopefully that will set us up for the rest of our conversation today. And then when it comes to sustainability, we have several sustainability goals about reducing our energy use on campus, reducing the pesticides and fertilizers and things we use across campus grounds, reducing our emissions from transportation, a whole bunch of different things. The kind of the big new goal that we have for all three University of Michigan campuses, Ann Arbor, Dearborn, and Flint, is carbon neutrality. And it's huge. It's basically like we're operating without producing any greenhouse gas emissions that would influence climate change. That's going to be a really big thing that everyone kind of has to lean into together if we're going to accomplish it. So I like to tell everyone I can about it. There's many parts to it, so you'll see those bullet points listed on the slide. It involves eliminating our on-campus greenhouse gas emissions, so from the power plant and from the buses and vehicles that are on campus. It involves reducing the emissions from our purchase power. So we buy some power from DTE and Consumers Energy across our campuses. And so we're looking to eliminate those emissions by buying electricity from wind farms and solar farms by 2025. So that's super soon. And then there's a bunch of other indirect emissions that are a part of our carbon footprint for campus, like when we buy food that we bring to campus, or any sorts of supplies, or when employees and faculty travel to conferences, or when students come and go each semester. So those are a little bit harder to measure. So we've been working on that over the past couple of years, establishing those baselines so we can figure out goals for when we can completely eliminate those as well. And we're trying to do all of this while instilling a university-wide culture of sustainability with justice as a core principle. We can eliminate all the emissions from our campus buildings and transportation systems, but if we don't involve students in learning about that process and telling folks about it, I don't know, we wouldn't really be fulfilling our mission as an educational institution. So that's why this sort of fourth bullet point is really important for U of M and why a lot of our sustainability engagement programs exist. So those are our carbon neutrality commitments. Now we're going to transition into, so that's like big, high level sustainability and our goals for campus. What are the things we can do as individuals to support all of that big, ambitious stuff? So I'll talk about these tips in a few different focus areas. We're going to start with transportation. So let's see. So on campus, the blue buses are really helpful for getting around, getting to North Campus, getting to different athletics facilities. So there's a live bus map you can use, and it's linked here, and we'll make sure to give you a link to all the slides. But use that to sort of make the most sense of your commute around campus so you don't need to have an individual car. And you can also use your M card to use not only the blue buses on campus, but also the Ann Arbor area transportation for free. So that's a good resource for students. There's also buses to DTW Airport when you're coming and going. Central Student Government, or CSG, organizes them around Thanksgiving and spring break and other like sort of high travel times. Those are really cheap for students, so highly recommend those. And then the Michigan Flyer is a bus that runs not just at peak times for student travel, but just all the time. Other sort of alternative transportation options available. There's an electric bike and scooter share in town. So if you live far away and don't want to bring your bike or scooter to campus, there's an app that you can download, and then you can use the available bikes and scooters around campus and in town. And then sort of to provide peace of mind when you're sort of doing all this getting around campus, there's a full web page about safe rides, late night transportation, emergency ride home services, all these different options. So if you have to stay late to study or work with a group and you feel uncomfortable about how you would get home, you can utilize all of those to get back to your residence hall, off-campus apartment, or what have you. So there's a fair amount of transportation support. And then there's been some fun student projects too, like the bike repair stations. A couple of them were funded by student sustainability projects across campus. So that's probably all I'll say about transportation. So I'll switch us on to our next topic, which is waste. When you're thinking about coming to campus, an intern of ours made an essential college packing guide. So check that out. It's on the Planet Blue Ambassador blog. A lot of times you just don't know what you're going to need or what to bring. And this kind of helps from one student's perspective outline, what she really found useful and secondhand stores and other things she found useful to get those things and not have quite as big an environmental impact. She also talks about good stuff about like coordinating with your roommates so you both don't bring something and then hog up a lot of extra space in your small dorm room. Other couple links here. There's a bunch of secondhand stores and reuse stores in Ann Arbor. So if you arrive on campus and you're like, oh, I'm missing a little rug or an accent lamp or whatever, check out this list of local secondhand stores. You don't have to buy a new one. And then because campus has landfill, recycling, and compost service for campus. So that's a little different than many places that we have all three of those bins in a lot of places. So you'll have the opportunity to compost food waste and other organic waste. You'll have the opportunity to recycle a lot of things in our single stream bins. The rules about what goes in what bin might be different than where you're from. So at that link is a short little 2-minute video about what goes in what bin. Check that out in your first day so you know when you're moving in, like what goes in the right thing, so you're not sort of contaminating any of the recycling streams or anything like that. So that's waste. And then our next topic is energy. Likely for your dorm room, the biggest energy user would be the heating and cooling system. Can't super control that all the time. One big energy user you can determine is whether or not you have a mini fridge. You're going to have an unlimited food plan on campus if you live in one of our residence halls. So just, think like, do I actually need that? Is it going to be empty most of the time? Most of the residence halls also have a community fridge in the kitchen. So ditch the mini fridge if you can. There's also an opportunity to rent them instead of buying them. If you're a picky eater or want to have your own fridge, renting is always kind of a better option than buying a whole new one. Next, instead of the hierarchy of how you could reduce your energy use most, get a power strip to plug in all of your electronics. So your laptop, any sort of TVs or a gaming console you might bring to campus. If you can use a power strip to turn all of that off when you're not using it, it's a great way to save energy. A lot of our energy use just happens when we're not even in our rooms and not using those things, but they're still left on. Otherwise, you all are smart. You probably know about LED light bulbs being the most efficient. So if you're getting a desk lamp or accent lamp, choose one with LED bulbs. And another way you can save a teensy bit of money and then also save energy is get a clothes drying rack. You won't have to spend $1 drying your clothes. Also, if you can put most of them on your clothes drying rack instead. That's another great thing that you can get from the secondhand stores in town. So yeah, and they fold up and real small. So those are some of our tips for energy reduction in your dorm room. When it comes to food, there's a campus farm, so it's an opportunity to go out there and volunteer, learn about sustainable food systems, and all the food that's grown at the campus farm by students is then, for the most part, used in our residential dining halls. So get to eat that food too, so super local. Another resource we have on campus is a food pantry called the Maize and Blue Cupboard. You can go and you just sort of show your M card. There are no questions asked. And you can pick up free food. They have other basic sort of supplies and toiletries. For when you move off campus, they often have pots and pans and other things like that too. It's a great resource. It's in the basement of the Betsy Barber residence hall. So really centrally located on campus and a really great resource. And the last thing I'll say about food sustainability is just that in the residential dining halls, they now have carbon labels on all of the food options that you can see depending on which thing you're picking, if it's a low, medium, or high carbon food. So this might be something like some locally grown vegetables. This might be something like, a burger or something like that. Or even like a tomato that was grown out of season, and had to be sort of heated and all those kinds of things. So that's really helpful for enabling students to make smart choices with the carbon intensity of their foods in the dining halls. It's a pretty cool thing that dining did. Well-being is an important part of sustainability. One of my interns used to say that you have to sustain yourself before you can sustain the planet. So when it comes to well-being, I just like to point out that eco-anxiety, climate anxiety, as it's sometimes called, it's real. I mean, research studies have shown that about half of college-age students are sort of impacted by it on a daily basis, and it affects your decision-making and how you feel. So there are resources. Highly encourage you to get involved in some of the student groups in the sustainability space. That's a great way to sort of overcome eco-anxiety. But then also Wolverine Wellness often organizes sort of peer support groups, and CAPS is another great resource. I think they have a one-on-one sort of consulting and advising sessions. So lots of great resources to just help you feel like the best you while you're here. All right, so those are all our sort of tips for that anyone can use as a student to live more sustainably at the University of Michigan. One key way I want to encourage you all to consider engaging further if you want to make this a bigger part of your U of M experience is by becoming a Planet Blue ambassador. So this is kind of a choose your own adventure thing. It starts with a little short introductory training on Canvas. It's not graded or anything, but it just tells you more about sustainability initiatives at U of M, highlights all of the resources and many more. So things from this presentation and then beyond, and then helps you get plugged in to a number of different resources. Once you do the intro training, it's kind of up to you as to how you'd like to engage as a Planet Blue ambassador on campus. You can put that on your resume or LinkedIn. So that's like a cool thing you can do early in your college experience. And then you'll get a monthly newsletter afterwards, and it'll highlight the sustainability student orgs you might want to join, funding opportunities if you have a sustainability project idea you want to pursue, jobs you might want to apply for, and a lot of other stuff. And our extra incentive is if you become an ambassador in the month of June, everyone who does that will get a coupon to get an ice cream cone from Washtenaw Dairy. So that's your incentive to do it sooner rather than later before you have a bunch of other classes and other things going on. And then speaking of events, there's two really big sustainability events that happen each fall. So I just wanted to let you guys know about these before the end of our session. EarthFest is the first one, it happens on the Diag. This year, it's going to be on September 22nd, it's a Thursday. It's just a really big tabling event with all kinds of different environmentally focused student orgs and local community organizations. And they'll be recruiting new members and sharing with what they're going to want to do and accomplish this coming year. So that's always fun. And then if you're interested in any way in sustainable food or just want to go out and visit the campus farm Harvest Festival, I don't know the exact date yet. It happens usually on a Saturday or a Sunday in late September or early October. It's out at the campus farm, and while there's not normally a bus that goes out there, there is on this particular day going to from every 15 minutes. And it's just a great opportunity to go out there, listen to some live music, see the farm, talk to some local farmers, and see what the sustainable food system is like here on campus. So highly recommend attending both of those if you're interested in getting more involved in your time at Michigan. Cool, so that's a brief overview. There's so much to get involved with related to sustainability on campus. If you have any questions, let us know in the Q&A. You can also, if you think of them later, just email us at planetblue@umich.edu. That's our sort of brand for sustainability on campus. And we'll be here to help you out and help you get plugged in the ways that you want to. Anna, do we have any Q&A questions?
Yeah, just a question about how would someone get more involved if they were interested, in addition to doing some of their own sustainability individual actions, how would they get more involved with student orgs or sustainability efforts?
Sure thing. Yep. So I always emphasize that Planet Blue Ambassador, becoming one of those is a great opportunity. It will point you to things like we have a whole Planet Blue website. If you just Google Planet Blue and University of Michigan, you'll find the website. It has a page that highlights all the student organizations that are focused on sustainability. There's more than 130 of them. So there's probably one that meets your needs. If not, start another one. That's cool too. So yeah, it talks about the student organizations, the different jobs that are available. I think the Planet Blue student leaders might be still hiring on a rolling basis until July. So that's an opportunity for newer students. So there's just tons of ways to plug in. Become an ambassador. It'll introduce you to many of them. Explore that Planet Blue website, or heck, just send us an email at planetblue@umich.edu. That was a good one.
Great, thank you. I don't see any other questions in the chat.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Hope you have a good rest of your afternoon and your summer. Really look forward to seeing you all at EarthFest and other events throughout the fall semester.
Thank you.
Thanks.